Welcome to Midday. Very often we have Mark Bertoli on, and he keeps us up to date on what's going on in the financial world. Visiting us from Abbott Wealth Management today. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So it looks like we're talking Trump.
Well, you know what? It's become such a part of the media right now, and a lot of... I was going to check the news before I came over here because you never know what happened in the last 15 minutes.
It is changing tweet to tweet, so you never know.
Yeah, so what I did, though, is I took a little bit, as I've done before, I look at a financial snapshot of what's going on rather than who said what and what stories in the news right now.
Looking for those facts somewhere.
I'm looking back to before the election and also a little bit about what's happened so far.
Okay.
So we try and figure out what's going on in the economy and make decisions for our clients about where we should have the greatest opportunity going forward. So some of that is, I was just in Toronto last week, and I prepared a slide here, but I met with a gentleman by the name of Tom Moresco.
Okay.
Tom Moresco was a member of the U.S. Treasury Board. Very astute investor in the United States. He manages literally billions of dollars out of Denver, Colorado. He personally knew all of the appointees that Trump has put on his team. So, yeah, and it's very interesting. I said Trump is very frugal. He had an idea that Donald Trump was going to win when he kept seeing him going back to these states that he had no hope of winning. And he knows Donald Trump, and he said Donald Trump would not spend the money to do that unless he knows something everyone else doesn't.
If he didn't believe it was profitable.
Exactly, and profitable means votes, right? So he watched that, and I have in there infrastructure spending as well. So one of the discussions we had, Trump is talking about $1 trillion infrastructure spending plan, which is good. They need it in the United States, but he would do it differently. And one of the discussions we had is, what is the difference between a political decision and a businessman making a decision? Typically, a politician will make decision. They get a lot of input, but it is spending taxpayers' money for benefit. Right. Trump and businessmen in particular make decisions, and it's been ingrained in them that's their own money that they're spending. So how you'll see infrastructure go is he may do one project and then monitor the economic effect of that project before he does another one. So it'll be a little bit different than just saying, okay, let's put all that money out there and see what happens. Very different. So there's that. The other thing we talked about was the Canadian situation with the U.S. We have a very narrow trade deficit with the U.S., which means that we bring in just about as much American product into Canada as we export to the United States. So that is a balanced trade. Balanced trade means that it's fair for both sides. Mexico has they export way more than they import from the United States. And so that's why you're hearing all the rhetoric about that. They want to even up that trade imbalance. So there's a few things there. $2.6 trillion that they're trying to repatriate. So those are dollars that are offshore. Offshore meaning they're in the Turks and Caicos, they're in Ireland. These corporations have their money in these other areas. Repatriating that money means bringing those assets back to the United States. I think they're talking about a one-time 10% charge. And then the possibility of using those assets to build more factories, to create new technology. And then there could be special tax on that going forward, or tax relief if those dollars are used. So one of the things at the end of the meeting with Tom that I asked him is, I said, you have a pretty good insight into things, business activity and what's gone on. If we look back 3 years from now, what do you expect the U.S. economy to do? So it has not broken 3% growth over the last 8 years. He very quickly responded that he thinks that you're going to see 3.5% economic growth out of the United States.
Very interesting. In the next 3 years.
Which is very powerful.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
any ceiling that you can break like that is a big deal.
Yeah, and of course that's very good for Canada.
Yeah.
We, you know, as much as they're going to go negotiate hard, that kind of growth cannot be fueled by the resources within the United States.
So economically hopeful.
It would be good for Canada
All
as
right.
well. So we'll just finish with the last slide, and I entitled it the Trump bump. So what I did is I went back and I looked at the stock market from November 16th, the date of the election. Everyone thought when there's a change, the market's going to go down.
Right.
It actually went straight up from
Yeah, that
there.
was all the buzz. People were very surprised.
Yes, we were all surprised.
Just like we were with the election.
Yeah, Santa never came.
Yes.
Yeah, so the Dow Jones Industrial to the highs of 2017, which were about a week ago, up 12.84% since the election. The S&P 500's 10.5, and Canada even benefited, and Canada had a great year last year, but Canada's TSX Composite Index through that period of time, which is really 2 months, is up 7.76%.
What would be normal for that? If we're seeing 7.6, what would be more?
Long-term historic averages are like 6%.
All right, so just
In
to
a
put
year.
in perspective,
In a year.
and that's 2 months, yeah.
You know, 5
Absolutely.
or 6% in a year. I mean, they vary all the time. When there's slow markets, they're followed by better
Yes.
markets, and vice versa.
Always good to get some facts
There you go.
in between all of the speculation. So
that's the economics
yes,
of
numbers
it.
are numbers.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you so much for the information. I think that some of that was new to a lot of us, and it's always good to get our bottom line straight.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mark, for coming on.
All right.
If you'd like more information, abbottwealth.com, or you can email info@abbottwealth.com.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We'll be back with more Midday soon.